And I think that's why you've seen such a great year from Dillon offensively, because he continues to work and prepare and strive to get better. Like I say to my teams, we're never satisfied. So he's never satisfied either. He's always got to get better because every day is another challenge.
PHNX Suns podcast. Gil McGregor here with Stephen PridGeon-Garner. Very honored to be joined by Coach Paul Melnik of Father Henry Carr Catholic Secondary School in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The man who coached Dillon Brooks during his high school days. Coach, thanks for joining us. How you doing today?
I'm great, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. How are you
Absolutely,
guys?
absolutely. Absolutely. We're doing well. We're doing
Doing
well.
great.
Very, very glad to have you. Excited to see Dillon get back on the court as the Suns try to make this postseason push. That being said, you are one of the ones who have been there from basically the beginning. Can you talk a little bit about your first time meeting Dillon Brooks and seeing Dillon Brooks play basketball? How long ago was that, and what were your first impressions of him?
So that would have been like 2009, 2010. Yeah, maybe 2000, maybe 2010, the summer of 2010. Um, so he was brought to my attention. I was asked to come watch him play, and he was described to me as an energy guy. I think he was underrated. So I went to watch him play, and he definitely was an energy guy. He played hard. He was intense, at times too intense. Controlling his emotions was one of his things that was a bit of a challenge for him. So I liked him right away, and he wasn't very big. You would not have thought he would grow to the size that he is now. But great player, very intense, and if you're intense and you play hard, that's a big step in winning me over. So that's when I first met him, and I was very excited to have him join us for grade 9.
Coach, is there a moment kind of in that introductory phase that stands out as like a bookmarkable time where it's like, okay, I think I know I can see something in him, and it's like something that you can kind of relate back to now that you maybe share with your kids nowadays?
Well, I don't know if there's a moment, but yeah, our junior teams were really, really strong. So when he was in grade 9, he came off the bench. They were probably undefeated, won a championship. In grade 10, he was a starter. Again, they were undefeated. They won their league championship by like 55 points. They
Wow.
just steamrolled the opposition, won every tournament, home and away. And then he played for me in grade 11. We were pretty good. He was our best player. And I guess one thing I realized is that I gave him a green light more than other guys because he just worked so hard and got a couple extra plays every quarter that nobody else was going to make. So that's like 8 extra possessions a game in a 32-minute game. So he had the green light. And then there is a story where he said to one of the coaches, I don't know if he wasn't performing or if he, I don't know if it was in a kind of a negative way, but like what do you want to do with this? They said to him, and he said, I want to play in the NBA, coach. And the coach said, okay, well we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll support you. We'll support you all the way. All you got to do is work hard, listen, and let's go. So said, so done.
Was that moment him saying that this is what I want to be and him working towards that? Was that when it kind of clicked for you all as a coaching staff to say, maybe he can do this. Maybe he can become an NBA player. Because I know you mentioned he was underrated and not rated properly when you first got your hands on him and to coach him. Was that the moment where you thought that he could reach those heights?
Well, a lot of kids say that.
Mhm.
Uh, my wife was a guidance counselor at the school for many years, and a lot of kids would go into her office, and she was very thorough. And she would ask, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? "Oh, I'm going to play in the NBA, miss." And she would say, oh, do you play on our teams? No. Oh, do you play club basketball? No. So there's a lot of pipe dreams out there,
Right.
But he just got better every day, every semester, every year. He just got better and better and grew. And when you work that hard and you grow, not only like physically but emotionally and maturity, anything's possible. So then when he went to Oregon, again, good numbers every year, led them to great success along with his teammates. He had some great teammates. Um, I guess the moment for me maybe was when he hit a big shot, I think, to beat UCLA, a game ender. And I was like, there might be something here. I mean, It's one thing to be a good player, but there are a lot of good players in the world and in the United States. Not everybody plays in the NBA. So to pick one point, it's very like there've been so many critical points in his career.
Yeah, coach, I think you mentioned the Oregon point, which is kind of a perfect little transition for us. We wanted to ask you about what were your assessments of his development into a Pac-12 Player of the Year and an All-American in his time spent at Oregon.
Well, I think he really worked hard at that point to hone his offensive game because he was a big offensive focus of their team. I mean, they played defense, don't get me wrong, but he was a major scorer, and the other teams had the game plan for him. So, the NBA is a league where you got to be able to score, and I think he did that at Oregon, and to be Pac-12 Player of the Year and some of the honors he received, um, maybe second team All American. I forget all the accolades. I have them listed somewhere. Um, those were big moments.
And
And
talking.
going back to high school, I did forget one thing. We were playing in the Ontario Championship game, and it was my first time coaching in the championship game. You would call it the state championship game, and we really should have been up at the end of regulation. The other team got a bucket counted that shouldn't have counted, but anyways, we're tied, and we got the ball on our end line. We got to go full court to score. I forget how much time was left, maybe 3 seconds, four. I don't know. It was such a short amount of time that we had to throw it full court. So we kind of drew up the same play that Duke ran for Christian Laettner when they beat Kentucky. And that shot was going to go to Dillon. Like, I'm going to put my best passer. You're going to throw it from our end line to their foul line, and you're going to hit this jump shot. Whatever pattern we ran. We ran it once. The ref waved it off because I think the clock didn't start, and it was a great pass.
Wow.
Ran it again. He caught it, turned, and missed. Had he made the shot, it would have been huge for us and huge for him. But the fact that I gave him, as an underclassman, the chance to win the game, it showed one that he had earned it, and he'd earned my trust. And I think that might have been the moment for me where I had no qualm saying, "This is what we're running. This who's taking the shot. Here's what all five guys are going to do. Let's win this game."
So you talked a lot about that and the journey, the stops and the things that happened, and with you, things that happened at Oregon. He decides to enter the NBA draft, and he is a second-round pick, goes to Memphis, and you see this journey kind of start over again as an NBA player. How have you viewed his journey from who he was as a rookie in Memphis and who he became in Houston as well, and how he's grown as an NBA player?
I think early on he was a big offensive spark plug for Memphis. And as they drafted and added pieces, I think that role got limited. And then, with some of the things that happened there, he got better every year. Things didn't work out in Memphis. Obviously, he got traded. Had a great couple years at Houston, and ended up in Phoenix where he's thriving. So, again, critical points, right? I think he had a tough time in Memphis at the end. Some of the negative focus that was improperly pushed on him,
Mhm.
and I think it was to protect somebody else. And I get it, each player is an investment, but that wasn't fair.
To that point, coach, just in kind of assessing his time here with the Suns, I know it's been just about 2/3 of the season so far, but I think he's left a very lasting impression with his approach and the kind of, I think the build up to now matters. What the season was last year for the team is not what he's shown to add to them this year. How have you kind of assessed his presence on top of the play that he's shown here in Phoenix so far?
Well, he worked very hard this summer. He was in Toronto. He spent a lot of time in our gym working out, and not just in our gym, other gyms as well too, because he works out every day. So he was driven. Um, I think his approach, to me, he's a professional. And I said to him, "You've developed into a professional basketball player," and I think people don't realize what that really means. It's a daily grind. And I think that approach and what he brings defensively, on top of the added scoring, I think the professionalism, the drive and I've heard it, has changed the culture in Phoenix. Because you got some great pieces over there. But that's not all it takes, right? You still need a straw to stir the drink. You still need to ignite the fire and keep the fire going. You can't ignite it for one quarter. It's got to be 4 quarters, and it's got to be on a daily basis, not just in games. Your body preparation, your team preparation, everything that you prepare. I think he brings a professional mindset. And I think he plays so hard with such a drive that it's infectious. Negatives are infectious and positives are infectious.
Mhm.
And sometimes I think it's harder to get those positive traits to transfer over. And I think him, along with his teammates, because Devin Booker's a key piece, a couple other guys too, but they've all kind of bought in and adopted his approach. And I think with the success, why wouldn't you? I mean, if it wasn't successful, you wouldn't do it, but it has been.
Right.
And when he got traded, my prediction at that point was, my prediction was Phoenix is going to have a greater improvement in their season results next year than Houston will. In fact, Houston might regress, and I think I'm right.
Yeah, I mean, kind of to that point, it feels like for me, just in kind of having conversations with Dillon as well as his teammates and even the coaches about him and his impact, the leadership part stands out most. Now, leadership it's a topic that everybody's not privy to because it comes in different forms. But with Dillon, it feels like his lead by example approach. And to your point, not picking and choosing spots is how you show up every day that gets that buy-in. Did you see anything in him when he was in high school and in time spent with you that suggested he has these type of qualities that can light a fire under guys and raise the level of play for everybody on the court with them?
Yes, because he led by example back then. He played very hard. He was aggressive, which suits my style. Like, we press full court, we
Yeah.
transition, we try and run great offense. But that's who he was back then. As an underclassman, remember, he had guys on the team that were 2 years older than him. But because he worked so hard, and there were positive results, it causes that buy-in, like you said. Other guys bought in to the point where they're starting to do similar things. Lead by example, and some guys lead also vocally and have an ability to talk us through things. So yeah, I saw it back then. I certainly did. We were very, very successful, and he is as well.
Coach, you talked a lot about how often he comes back, and you and I talked a little bit before we were able to set this up today, just about how present he still is. And we've talked so much about Dillon Brooks, the leader, Dillon Brooks, the basketball player. But what impressed me the most is you sound the most proud of Dillon Brooks, the person. What can you say
Mhm.
about who he is outside of those lines and who he's been and how you've seen him grow as a man since you first met him?
Well, when he was in high school, he was in his phys ed class. We have a DDME program for developmentally delayed multiple exceptionalities, and some of those students were in the gym class with the teacher's name was Mr. Gallo, and Mr. Gallo would tell me how great Dillon was with some of those kids, and that takes a special approach. And I think he also had the same experience in elementary school, if I'm not mistaken. So when you see Dillon on the court and how he plays and how he carries himself, and he brings it right to the edge, and sometimes he goes over. You wouldn't have no idea that off the court he's very gentle, he's very caring, he's very loving, he's very giving. He supports our program financially. He's always come back to visit. Some of the pictures that I sent you, like some of those pictures were taken the day he came back. He came back to train with Team Canada, and after he dropped his bags off at a local college, which isn't far from us, he came right over here. Um, a lot of our kids are like that. A lot of, especially the basketball players, they feel a connection. I don't want to pat myself on the back, but like, we're family. And I've had a quote that I said many, many years ago: a team is a family when you win, but the benefit of being a family is when you lose, because it's in those hard times that you need to be strong together. So we have that family approach here, and I've always been close to a lot of my guys, um, but especially Dillon. I've been at family functions. He's been to our house, vice versa. I don't know if you see that a lot with players, especially NBA players and their high school coaches. And a lot of times I think that's because maybe they're trained to say, you got to be careful with your AAU coach, your high school coach, your friends, the guys from the neighborhood. They're going to want. We don't want. We're just friends. But if you want to donate and help us out, we'll gladly accept it, because you're going to, we're trying to help 45 other kids every year
Hmm.
get better. whether they get to the NBA or not, it's not. I mean, it might be a great end goal, but we know how minuscule those percentages are. But I think we promote that here, and I think he was always that way, so it just worked.
Coach, my last one for you. I had a conversation with Dillon maybe a few months ago about his approach in terms of how he plays offensively. And it was always his footwork and just to kind of play out of the post, play out of pivots and things like that that always stood out. Like that's a very intricate skill that you have to train years after years after years. And I just asked him, I was like, okay, I see your footwork. I see you the spaces on the court you like to operate out of. I see your shoe choice every night. It's like, what does Kobe Bryant mean to you? And he talked about just arduously studying his film and watching his movement patterns and the cadence and the rhythm and reads. Is that something you saw out of him as far as that influence from Kobe on his game and how he implemented it into it?
I'm not big on film and whatnot. We're at the high school level. I've always thought of that if we do what we do best and focus on what we do, we're going to be okay.
Mhm.
We make adjustments in game. But I know Dillon studies his opponents, and I know it, which is great, especially because he has to guard the best player most
Mhm.
nights. And I know he studied Kobe Bryant, and I think that's like taking it to the next level because it's important. Your preparation is important, and those fine little details are important. And he works with a great trainer, David Tyndale. They've known each other for many years. They grew up in the same area, um, and I've watched them work out together, and that's they're both 100% in. Like they're both equally important in that relationship. Tyndale does a great job. Dillon does his own research and listens and works, and they work together. And I think that's why you've seen uh, such a great year from Dillon offensively because he continues to work and prepare and strive to get better. And like I say to my teams, we're never satisfied. So he's never satisfied either. He's always got to get better because every day is another challenge.
Coach, before we let you go, I just want to give you an opportunity to shout out your teams. Where can people out there follow you and the team you've got going this year?
So we are FHC Prep at Father Henry Carr Catholic School. We're on Instagram, either at Coach Melnik or at FHC Prep. We finished off. We play in two leagues. We finished off the regular season in one league last night. We're tied for first, and we're going to finish off the regular season in another league tomorrow. And hopefully we finish first. And you can come on Instagram. You can Google us. If you go on YouTube and search Father Henry Carr basketball, you're going to see a lot of video from years past, and you're going to catch a little bit of Dillon Brooks in there, and you're going to see how loud our gym gets. Last night we were in a tough game, up 18 and a half, and all of a sudden it came close. And we got a dunk late and a big three. You could not hear yourself think in that gym. It's a tight, compact gym. It's old school, and we love it that way. And check us out and see what you think, and let me know what you think.
Absolutely, absolutely, for sure we will, Coach. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for what you're doing for the next generation of basketball players coming up there as well. Look forward to doing this again soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I wish you all the best. Have a great weekend.